we'll just get right to it. Trauma is coming up everywhere, isn't it? Is anyone else getting this? A lot of trauma. I don't know what to do with it. Right out the gate. That's right. You got some trauma coming up? You got some deep, dark trauma? Give us a yes if you got some major trauma coming out of your body. It's almost just hard to exist. You're just like, what the hell is going on? My body hurts. When will it end? How many times have you said this? I thought I already got through this. When does this end? When am I over my thing? When am I done all the way? Oh my goodness. Well, congratulations, because that means your trauma is coming to the surface and it's ready to release. And I'll tell you something that I've accidentally said to several clients this week, which is don't fight it. Don't go, when is this over? Don't try to get out of it. I want you to see it this way. See it as if, what if it turned out, and don't follow through with this, but what if it turned out you could breathe water, but you didn't know it? What if it turned out you suddenly have lungs where you could breathe water? And then someone just starts lowering you into the water. And you only know your whole life is that you breathe air. So you're gonna fight it and you're gonna try and get out of it. And it's just like, shh, just shh. And you're like, no, I gotta, when does this end? I gotta get over this. I gotta get over this. And it's just like, shh, let's just be here. Yeah. Now, don't hear this literally. I'm worried 3 of you are going to start filling up the bathtub. And no, you're supposed to just fall into this. You're supposed to just be right here. Imagine you're just being lowered into your trauma just for the release. And the only thing that's really adding to it is that constant, how long does this go? I can't see a way out. Because let me tell you something that you can just right off the bat see from this. The amount of people that I've discovered are looking for a way out. That means they've lived their life always knowing what the way out was, always feeling some type of hope for the future, always seeing what could be. And that has been actually how we've been living. And so we haven't been in the moment. We've just been living in the moment, constantly looking into the future. And we've just had little futures that sounded exciting, like I'm going to date that person, or I'm going to get that promotion, or I'm going to at one point buy the house, and I'll live in the future. But let me tell you something, we're right here, right now. And what if life's taking your ability to escape to a fantasy away, right? You have a big fantasy going on that you've had your whole life. And now it's going, oh, the fantasy for the future is actually dark and you have no specific way out. Oh no, what do I do? Well, we don't need a fantasy. We don't need the future. You need the now. You've just been living not all the way there. So I want you guys to think about that. What if you've just been living your whole life with some excitement about the future and never actually were in the now? And so now what you notice is that the ability to see the future is being cut off, but that doesn't mean anything. When you get on a staircase, you can see the future. You can see at the top of the stairs, you'll be here. When you get onto an elevator, you go way higher and you can't see shit, right? When you get onto an elevator, the door's closed and you're in a black box and you can't see anything. You can't see anything. And the door could be 1 second from opening up onto a whole new floor, and you could be literally a second away from it. But if you didn't know what an elevator was, you'd just be in a trapped box as far as you know. And many elevators, don't have like ways that you can see out. There's some elevators that have little glass, so it doesn't feel as scary. But sometimes we get in one, and if you didn't get that it was an elevator, all you would notice is now I'm in pitch black. Now I'm on the top floor. But what if you didn't know about the top floor coming? You're just in pitch black. It's changing, it's moving faster than stairs move. It's moving faster than anything. But at the same time, you can't see where it's headed. You can't see what's going on, but it's moving faster because you can't see where it's headed. It's taking out patterns. It's taking out the part of you that can see where it's headed. And you're in surrender, and God is working with you now. And what I see, and the way I see the world as, is a collective the truth in your body is just coming to the surface, and your ability to argue with it, create a false you, your ability to say who I am is this crappy job when the truth is I'm this moment. Who I am, my identity is that Porsche in the garage. Oh no, who I am is that relation. No. This thing's coming up, and you can see it everywhere. You can see it. You can see the people that are authentic, and you can see the people that are fake now. You can see it. You can just watch the news and just be like, bullshit. You can just watch things and be like, bullshit. There's a lot of things going on that are like a second layer from the real thing. And right now this you is trying to come up. And the same part of us that sees bullshit in that is dealing with the bullshit that's coming up in us. And you have it when you're triggered by something. You have it when someone did something that really makes you mad and you're scared. And your job when that happens, maybe acknowledge it for a second, that pissed me off, and then go inward, go past the level of the circumstance. Your ability to use the circumstances as why you're upset is collapsing. Do you understand that? Your ability to go to the reason outside of you is collapsing, right? Because you'll go, it's because of this thing. And then you change the circumstance and it's still there. Oh, it's because of this relationship. You go into the next one and it's still there. Oh, it's because of this. You go to the next thing, it's still there. Your thing that is actually hurting it's nothing to do with your circumstances. So we keep going, I need to do this. And then you'll notice it's quicker that you catch it. You're like, I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And then you go do it and you're like, I'm still not happy. And it's quicker, right? It's like fast, and I'm going to here and no, that's not. And you're like, shit, I have no escape from this thing that's coming up. And I promise you in a few months, you're just gonna be like, you're just gonna be like, what? It's just coming up and I can't do anything. And then you're going to just fall into it. When you just let it pull you into the figurative water, let it pull you into it's just pulling you in. And you're just like, no, I usually don't do this. Or I'm trying to figure out my way out. I'm trying to just trust me. I got you. And then they say something like, am I going to feel this forever? Shh. The minute you give up, you're free. The minute you give up on escaping it, the minute you give up on what's the way out of this? What if it turned out the pool is better? What if it turned out being in that is better? It's a new way of breathing. Well, you're in a new way of thinking. You're in a new way of living. You're in a new way of being. You're in surrender right now. Just let yourself fall into your trauma, and then it'll start showing you why. It'll go, oh. Jesse says, when you surrender, there's still pain though. Totally, but it's way less. And the more you surrender, there's not. Like you might actually still think there's pain because you're surrendering, but I promise you, there's also an aspect that's there where you're like, I'm in total surrender. Like it's hard to get to total surrender. It takes a little more patience than a minute. Some of us we literally go, okay, I'll surrender. Is it working? Forget it. Like that's the level of surrender we have. You got to surrender. You got to go, that person triggered me. That thing triggered me. And then give yourself an hour with it and stop thinking about the person now and just be with you. Stop thinking about what they did and be with you. Like if I couldn't change them, if I'm done trying to change what they're doing, if I'm done trying to get them to see me, if I'm done trying to get the world to be different, if I'm done being triggered by what's going on everywhere in the world, I can finally be with my inner child. All it wants is to be with you. All it wants is to be seen by you. That's all your inner child wants. That's all that trauma wants. And every time it comes up, you go, it's because of that, and you run from it, right? You run from it. It comes up and you go, it's because of that, which would be like if Vivi says, I feel unloved, and I go, it's because of him, and just leave her. Like she's not being seen by me because I'm like, it's because of the neighbor that you feel unloved. He's an asshole, and I'm giving him more attention than her. That's what's going on inside of you, right? Right? Get into your body, get into your heart, and then ask yourself, how deep does it go? Because check this out. All the trauma that's coming up has been in your life, has been in your body most of your life, right? So you don't know what it's like with more of it gone. You actually don't know what the world is like without it, right? You don't know. Now, Parker says, does it require sitting still for hours? I wouldn't think of it as an assignment. I would just start to get in the habit of you're driving down the street, something triggers you, you get a text you don't like, whatever, and just go, okay, that's what triggers me. In. What do I feel? Why am I hurting? What do I feel? Not they're an asshole. What do I feel? And I'm new at it too. You know, I get in these meditations, I get in my body and go, okay, instead of like wanting that person to see something, I'm just going to be with me. Instead of wanting them to be different, I'm going to be with me. And I have yet to be with me, shift my perspective, and the thing outside not shift. It always shifts as a match to me. Always, always. Really take that in. Now you might go, if I told you this could go all the way to the whole world, and you go, no way. Like, what if it's like you could literally hit some triggers in your body and actually suddenly see a completely different planet because you see everything is healed inside of you. So you see everything healed is outside of you, and then the planet adjusts quicker. Now you might hear that and go, well, that's just crazy talk, Kyle. That's not how it works. Well, how do you know? You've had that trauma in your body your whole life. You've never seen what life's like without that trauma. Any trauma that's coming up has been there since your childhood. So take in, you don't know what life is like on the other side. So here's an example. So at the first level is you just start to understand that there is a you, right? Most of us are like, I'm so annoyed about that person. They blah, blah, blah. They blah, blah, blah. They blah, blah, blah. They blah, blah, blah. Right? Then you go, okay, what's it bringing up for me? And then you might have a second level where you're like, okay, so it's bringing this up for me. Maybe if I tell him that, then blah, 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 right? Okay, well, that is a better step. But then it could be like, okay, they blah, blah, blah. What's it bringing up for me? I feel unseen. Well, I'll tell him that I feel unseen. When you do that, I feel unseen. We got some communication going here now. That's pretty good. But what if it's like, blah, 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 blah. I feel unseen. I hear you. I'm going to be with you. I'm with you. I'm with you right now. You feel unseen, I'm right here. You feel unloved, I'm right here. They're out of this right now. In other words, we don't have to fix it with them. I'm right here with you. I love you. I'm right here. Can you feel that? That is the next level. Take that in. Take that in. And it goes, oh, it's so painful. It's so hard. And so your voice comes in and goes, when is this going to get over? When is this going to come out? Right? And don't do that. Like, maybe hear the voice come out, but then stay with it. The voice might maybe say, when is it going to be over? But just let it say it, but don't follow it. Like, that voice, don't go into the future to look for your escape. Just let it say that, so you can maybe see, I feel pain. I feel pain. And it's more than a minute, because you know what you're doing when you're with something, your consciousness in the moment widens. And the more it widens, the bigger of a portal it is to purge whatever hurts. See, your small story can't purge your bigger story. So imagine there's 3 levels of you in the moment, then your wound, your pain, and then the smaller story you have on top of the pain. And I watch a lot of people try to get the deeper thing with their intellect, and you can't think your way out of it. You can't figure out where it's coming from. You can't figure out the other side. You can't get it from a consciousness that's smaller. So you're looking through this lens and you have a pain that's this big, right? So what we got to do is look at this third level that's down here, that's bigger than it. And you connect to the now. And now you're widening your conscious level. And it might need more than 5 minutes. It might need more than 10 minutes. And the more you meditate, the more pain you're going to be. And you know why? Because you're able to purge more. Like, there's stuff that was here and you were here, so it couldn't even get to here. But now you start to meditate, and you start to get now, and this gets bigger, and all of a sudden the shit that's right here is suddenly able to be purged. So you're in agony for a minute, but if you keep meditating, you could get to here, and then here, and then here, and everything that was here is out. But now it's going to purge this shit. Now it's going to purge this bigger stuff. Now it's purging this and this and this, and that's great. But you are all of it, and that's why connecting to the moment is so big. You're going to actually, it will find, you will be connected to the moment, and it will find the trauma in your body and just purge it, because you're now on this now frequency, and you live in this frequency, and you live in this here. So you start to see levels where, when I finally see, okay, this person's triggering me. Okay, I'm going to be with myself. I'm going to find what hurts in me. It turns out every single time, right? It turns out every single time that when you feel triggered by someone else, if you heal with yourself what you're triggered by, you will melt and alchemize the trauma that is in there about that other person. And then you will suddenly see that they will change too. They do, they change. It's almost like you have a trauma bond to that person. And when you finally heal yours, it gives it back to them, and they're with it. you guys aren't stuck to each other, because someone triggering you is triggered by you. So they're just as much looking at you, right? So someone that triggers you is triggered by you. So you guys are stuck to each other, right? So we got to heal your end of the wound. Imagine you guys got one umbilical cord going between the two of you, right? If you get to a place where you finally bring enough love to your wound, it's always not from them, by the way. You and another person who are triggered about each other have wounds under the trigger. Each of you are having it's like you and your situation with your dad is having an argument with them and their mom or whatever, right? And so if you heal the core wound, like, oh my God, I feel so stuck to them. I feel so annoyed by them. And why do I feel annoyed by that specific thing? Oh, my dad abandoned me when I blah, 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 blah. Someone walked out on me or hit me when I blah, 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 blah. My body has deep rooted trauma from being hit at that time. So it needs to know that it's love, because it's making every maneuver in its body to not be hit, abandoned, screamed at, whatever again. That's what it's trying to do. So it goes, if I let go of this deeper wound, then I'm scared I'll get that again. So you sit there and become the space and show it, look, I love you even if you let go of that, even if you go through that. I love you no matter what. So when you start to show it, you love it no matter what, then it starts to walk, and it's going to need time. It's going to need to see evidence that you're really going to stay there. Because how many times do you start to heal a wound and then go, that's good enough, let's go away. So the wound doesn't really get healed, because you often bail when you get enough meditation to get through it or to get whatever. But there's a deeper you that's trying to come through here. So when you allow yourself to meditate more and more and more and more, you open this up and you find the core reason. And then you go, that's the wound. That's the pain. I love this wound. I'm here for this wound. You cry that out, right? You will discover, if you cry that core wound out, that the person that you were triggered by, it doesn't matter anymore. And all of a sudden you hand them their thing, because you don't have that tense energy with them. You aren't sitting there annoyed and playing weird text games and shit like that. And in this kind of long resistance thing, you're sitting here with this wound, right? That's healed. Now imagine when you heal your wound, they get their shit back to them. And if they have their shit back to them, they release it. And you'll notice it simultaneously. You'll notice it even if you don't see them. I've had it where I have a core wound. I see what the core wound is from. I cry it out. The person that I'm triggered by suddenly calls me and apologizes. Like, I've had that so many times. Now, here's just something to play with. This is just open your mind. It could seem a little kooky. I'm not claiming it as a fact. But what if this doesn't just go to people? What if this goes to the whole world? What if it turns out, just play with this idea. And even if this is wrong, why not just still move like this is the truth? What if the world, everything in the world, is a mirror of you too? And what if you'll notice that as you're noticing your trauma come up, you see the whole world's traumas coming up? And what if you're triggered by whatever, the lockdowns, or you're triggered by whatever, the vaccine, you're triggered by COVID, you're triggered by people's arguments about it, you're triggered by the riots going on, you're triggered by protests, you're triggered by the news, you're triggered by whatever. What if these things are literally mirroring yours? And what if you have never seen what life is like if you love your core wound that's triggered by anything outside? I am finding, after working with thousands of clients now, there's nothing outside of you that's actually what's bothering you. That every external trigger, everything you got, I swear to God, there's no one I can't prove this with. It's like, if they're willing to, every external thing has to do with your thing from earlier. We all have it. If that wasn't the case, we'd all be triggered by the exact same thing. If the thing outside of us was the trigger and not it's our interpretation of it based on our childhood wounds, every single thing we'd all have the same opinion about. We would all have the exact same opinion about the president or what's going on. Everyone would have a different thing. But we're walking around with a bunch of triggers that are trying to take us to deeper wounds. And this is your opportunity, 2021, to go to the deeper wounds. This is your opportunity to find the highest level of yourself, to meditate, to get really healthy, to eat well, to work out, to drink a lot of water, to do stuff for yourself, to find the highest you, because you don't want to cloud this up with a bunch of sugar. You don't want to cloud this up with a bunch of external shit that's annoying. You don't want to cloud this up. Don't cloud this up. Give your body some health. Give your body some freedom. Give your body some hydration, you know, and not cloud up your ability to see your trigger by giving your trigger the fuel. By the way, your trigger is the fuel. The addiction fuels itself. It goes, go get that sugar, go get that bad food, go eat that fattening stuff. And then you can feel like shit, and that keeps the trigger alive. And then the trigger is what's telling you to eat shitty. The trigger is doing this. This is how we're doing this, right? So my offer to you is stop feeding it. Don't listen to the last voice so much. I had a client earlier say, you know, but my problem is I always, shut up. Don't say I always, that's the past. You did. And he goes, yeah, but I always have this thing where I want to eat healthy, but I always, and I'm like, hold on. You can decide to change it. Yeah, but I've always tried to change it and never worked. I'm like, I don't care. Think of if you just, and he wanted to eat healthy. Think of if you just ate really healthy. And think of if you just stay eating healthy. And the pattern kicks in and it goes, no, we're really addicted to cake and we're really addicted to pizza. And you just keep not eating it. And the pattern gets louder and you just keep eating really healthy and working out and going for walks, drinking water and whatever, and showing it that you in this moment are more the voice that runs this than the pattern. Stop saying I always, and then bringing a past thing into now that has nothing to do with you. Right? This type of thing helps you find who you truly are, and accidentally patterns will just fall out of you. So when people say, how do I get a pattern out? Well, one way is meditation, but also can you take yourself to a frequency by not feeding, not only literally, but figuratively, patterns. Feed your soul. Listen to content that changes your life. Listen to silence, meditate. Eat healthy, drink a lot of water, stop eating poison. We poison our body all day. Stop. Like find the highest version of you, right? So that you're a high free space to really see what's going on. From there, you stop being your patterns, and then the patterns would have to fall out because they're not being fed. And that's what the trauma is. The trauma is you're running from these patterns. And it's going, if you go to this pattern, we'll be hit again. If you let go of this, and you won't. But if you start to create a higher version of yourself through choosing to create an intention with the highest level of yourself, you know, for me, getting off coffee has been the fastest weight loss ever because I don't crave anything anymore. I weirdly don't crave food as much. Right. And it's like with coffee, I noticed I'm always like, where is it? And I don't like go to bed, you know, needing to, I know a lot of people are like, I'm not going to get rid of coffee. That's fine. But it is a pattern that's saying that. Even if you drank coffee since you were born, right out the womb, they're like, here, get them Starbucks. If that happened, still, that's not you. It's a pattern, right? So imagine that you can change the whole world this way. This is literally how you change the world. You change what you're triggered by on the outside. What triggers you about something in the world right now? And what does it feel like? Just say what triggers you, but then undo it from you. What does it feel like in my body? What does it feel like and by the way, the people who struggle the most have the hardest time saying what it feels like. Like they say something like, it feels like I'll never get out of this. It feels like I'm going to always have this problem. It feels like I can't figure this out. These aren't feelings. If you can finally get to, I'm scared right now. I'm scared. I'm lost. And sometimes they'll say, I'm scared because they'll never blah, blah, blah. I'm like, take off the because. Yeah, Melanie, just feel stuck. I feel panicked. Stay there. Deep breath in. Make that okay. Right? Just be there. Be there. So if your answer is it makes me super sad, Janice, that means you have sadness in you. You have sadness in you. So these things are here trying to bring it out of you. Right? If you feel lonely, oh, Kelsey, like just hold space for it and feel lonely. If you feel unsafe, hold space for it. I have fear in my gut. I feel super scared. We are going to get to a point. If you choose this, you can join me in choosing this. I choose to only work on me. I choose to literally only work on me. Yeah, if you're in a situation that's dangerous and it's actual physical violence or whatever, get out of it. Other than that, Okay, that thing triggers me. God, well, can I heal me first? Will I bring God in? Because there's nothing that's in your body that's seen that's a problem. It's what's unseen that's a problem, right? If you decide, I choose to only work on me, that triggers me. What is it bringing up for me? That triggers me. What does it mean in my body? What is this? It's a choice. That's right, Shayna. It's a choice, and most people don't choose it enough to like stick with it. I mean, does anyone really go, okay, very few do, and the ones that do change. Do I look at my what hurts in my body, what it feels like for a couple hours a day, right? And what if you're creating a new world that way, right? I feel excited, I feel scared. It makes me feel disappointment and lonely. I do that, but the anxiety is like a runaway train. Sometimes I can't stop to breathe. You can if you stop and breathe, right? Just breathe. And Parker goes, a couple hours a day. Yes, this should be your priority. This should be a bigger priority than everything else because you'll change everything else. See, our hierarchy is all screwed up. Or like the hierarchy we have is work at a job we don't like, right? Then whatever, then time with friends, go to the bar. Like people don't ever say, when people, I say you meditate a couple hours a day, people go a couple hours a day. Why don't we ever say that about getting drunk? That's a couple hours a day, right? If you get drunk each day, no one goes, I'm going to spend 2 hours drinking. People don't even question I'm going to spend money on whatever, healing myself, a cabin in the woods and do nothing. That's questionable, but not, I'm going to buy, 24 packs of beer. That's fine to just sit on Netflix. No one ever says, I'm going to watch a movie for 2 hours today. They just say it about the shit that actually changes their life. The shit that actually changes your life. Yes, do that 2 hours a day. Do that. And then get to a place where when you're about to watch Netflix, go, am I going to do this for 2 hours? Am I going to really, really sit and watch this for 2 hours? And if you choose to, that's fine. But what if your hierarchy was me first, my health first, my connection first, my soul first? I see the inner child starting now. The only reason this feels hard is we haven't done it before, but we've come to the point of no return. You have to now, or we're going to go down, right? Right? Hell yeah, Kelsey. Right? We have to. You can feel the trauma's coming up louder and louder and louder. Do you want to keep numbing it until it's unbearable? Until you're in a crazy war with yourself? Or do you want to just let it come up? That trauma is here and it's ready to be released. Your trauma is here for release. It's now ready. Let's take a question. Nothing is as true